Esther and Justina.
Esther, do you go first?
Yeah, I thought you would want to start because you were the yeah, I think to ensure that, Evelyn, we need to, I think fundings should be more than chasing reports and outputs. Fundings should invest in making relationships with, let's say, the coastal communities, the implementers. That way, the fundings can really bring out the impact, the positive impact, through ensuring that the implementers are well equipped with the knowledge, with the resources, but also, for example, leadership growth is something that people take it very lightly, but it's something that can really change how maybe funds, the initiatives are designed. So I think changing from just receiving funds for project implementation and chase deadlines, as Justina said, to building relationships that really that will really last, and ensuring that coastal communities really benefit from those fundings through solving the root cause and not coming up with ideas. And because who would have to like get what and support ideas and implementable actions for the coastal communities to thrive in the ocean itself. Up to you, Justina.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, Esther. Yeah, so how do we ensure funding supports local actions and not just paper?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, it's a $1 million question, especially for somebody who worked for donors.
Give us that funder's perspective.
Okay, so first it's recognizing the challenge, because you cannot address a problem if you don't know. So, and the challenge is a small organization to, as I mentioned also in my previous answers and question one, they struggled to win these proposals or to write those proposals. But also once they win, there are a lot of conditions and also bureaucratic reporting and a lot of balance and checks, audits, which adds a burden to these grassroots organizations which are funded. But also, for example, in countries like in Tanzania, we see local organization as yourself because of those reasons that I have mentioned, losing these bigger grants. I would be very happy if Respect the Ocean would be won by AFO, but you went to Chemonics and it's just a small piece was given to AFO. So you can see that. But how do we move from there now? It's simplifying these grants. There should be right away processes. I know they put all these conditions, me having worked for most complicated donor USAID, as a accountability, but also to make sure that every single dollar that is spent bring results. But still, at the end of the day, we were finding like organization not spending the money. The burn rate is low because of they don't know how to comply to some of the things. So, or maybe even the conditions were put like how you should procure, it takes long, and sometimes we don't have systems or practices or processes in countries. The system we have in the countries that they give us funding. But also, I think the other one Esther have mentioned, it's more flexible and funding and donor that who support you know, a lot of communities and grassroots organization. I think the other one is to invest in local capacity. Maliasil is doing. Building knowledge and skills of grassroots organization on how to write proposals, on how to nurture relationship with funders, on how to communicate. And also it's the same, you have to justify why as AFO, or why as any other organization needs to have that fund. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Your insights are very, very powerful, like no doubt. Quickly, I want us to dive into no, before diving into our second segment, I'd really like Esther to wrap it up for us, the first segment. So very quickly, Esther, AFO has been building towards moments like the United Nations Ocean Conference for a while now. So what specific comments would you want to see come out of NICE, as we all know that our executive director will be speaking in the United Nations Ocean Conference in NICE. So, and tell us, what would you want to see coming out that would truly shift how local communities engage with ocean governance? Esther.
Yeah, thank you, Eve. To answer your question, I think I can say UNOC is really a good platform when used well, and I think it's an opportunity for the locals, for example, as Tanzania and the organizations like AFO, Mbambao, and other organizations that support really doesn't see the importance. Maybe they do, but it's really important to keep on recognizing that communities are not just passive receivers of whatever we are planning at the top. They need to be incorporated in whatever we are planning and plan to do. So I think funding models that really work for our communities, but also maybe signing treaties that will move ocean conservation from where it is right now is something that would really make me happy. As I said before, UNOC is really important, but we need to see more funding. We need to see more effort and more mobilization of and acceleration of efforts to ensure that the local communities benefit. And also, as I said, investing in governance of those local structures, for example, the beach management units, the collaborative fisheries management areas. Those are the governance structures that really bring out the impact, because they are made up of the people who are sometimes the destroyers. So changing a person from being the destroyer to a leader needs time and takes time, as Justina said. So I think investing in local grassroots governance structures is something that, if will be spoken about at the UNOC, that will be something that will ocean conservation impactful.
Thank you very much, Esther. You've really wrapped it up very well. And thank you, all of you, for participating in the first segment. For the participants, anyone who's watching us right now, if you have any question, every insight, you can just write it to us on the comments right there. And then later on, we'll give everyone a chance to ask questions. So thank you very much. So on to the second segment, Show to Summit. So here we are bridging local to global ahead of UNOC3. So I think let's now shift to UNOC3 itself, yeah? So the world will gather in NICE in just a few days, but how do we make sure coastal leaders and communities are not just invited, but are because sorry. So again, so the world will gather in NICE in just a few days, and how do we make sure coastal leaders and communities are just not invited but influential? Because we have seen in many cases, in these conferences, people just go, others just go to show off and all that. So we really want to understand how we can make sure coastal leaders and communities are just not invited but influential. So the first question that goes to all of you, what's one urgent message from your community that global leaders need to hear going into UNOC3? Yeah. So very quick. I'll start with Kaijage. We've not heard your voice.
Thank you, because we were trying to incorporate the aspect of gender, and here right now I was misrepresented. But thank you once again. And
Oh my goodness.
I would like to say, like the local community, how they'll be misrepresented in changes and stuff like this, and that does not give the right to polluters just to continue polluting, because there are other people in the global south that will clean up their mess. So I think is to take action in both ways, that not to give the right for people with money to continue polluting just because there is an area where they can support to pay. So in a way, it's to reduce the tokenism of global south conservation aspect, and to give them the power to react, and not to be proactive in conservation, and not to react to things that are happening at the moment. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Justina.
Yeah, one message going to global leaders. I think they should know that for global south, the ocean is not just a resource; it's part and parcel of their lives. It's like what they see, and they see ocean as a family or a relative, or not a commodity that you go and get something. So it's something that is living. It's something that it's part of their life, and any action done to the ocean, they are accountable for it. So global leaders must see the same way as the global south sees it, and in the same lens, and also act with the same level of care and respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Esther.
Yeah, I think one message I would really send to the UNOC participants and all the people above there, as a community, a local community member, I can say I am not vulnerable. Yeah, I am not just vulnerable, I am valuable. You know, we are valuable, and here I speak as the local fishermen. They are valuable partners. They can do things. They can co-create solutions that really last and work for their communities. So I think the global leaders should really understand that we can work together. They can work with the coastal communities to ensure the lasting effect and impact of the fund or the initiatives that they can really bring, because those communities really understand the coastal environment, as Justina said and Kai said, that the ocean isn't just a place where you go and swim for them. It's more like a relative, a kid, a parent to them. So as we are very serious about the ATMs, the banks. I think the ocean is somewhere that we should also take really serious, because it's where those people get meal, get food. So they are not just vulnerable, they are valuable, and they can make something good out of it.
Thank you very much, Esther. One valuable insight I've gotten from you is I am not vulnerable, I am valuable. That is something that I think I'll take it with me. So thank you very much, Esther. Another thing is, so how do we move from token participation to true shared power in the ocean governance? Esther?
Okay. I think we can move from there by, as we have been saying, by recognizing first the effort that the coastal communities can really bring, but also the local organization and leaders that we have, and also understanding that solutions and the local communities have solutions. For example, I would like to really use the phrase divide and conquer. For example, recently we have been witnessing organizations, for example, AFO and others. We've been witnessing that they are and we are dividing and breaking the complex issues in the conservation space, in the ocean space, into something that, or solutions that coastal communities can really take and implement. So I think by doing that, we can really change the narrative. For example, at Aqua-Farms, we have quite a number of models and approaches that we use to implement our activities. We're moving from being implementers of projects to implementers of programs that can last even post the funding, but also programs that can be that makes the communities the center of whatever we're doing. For example, we have the famous Ocean Access Program that I myself is a beneficiary, I think, and Kai too, and many out there, that allows local marine scientists, storytellers to explore the underwater ocean, or the underwater. That way, by investing in such ideas and innovations, we ensure that the impact lasts, but also other models that really work. For example, restoration is very expensive, but investing in models like the Matumbai High model, and I've seen Mwambao doing some reef restoration works in Tanga, those models that impact local communities are the ones that we need. So that way we can really move from just, doing conservation as a luxury thing and bringing out the meaningful impact.
Thank you very much, Esther. Kaijage? You're muted.
Sorry. One thing I would like to echo in terms of token participation, in my perspective, would be the Messiah complex of a lot of conservation organization trying to, how can I put it, to own conservation actions in communities, and not trying to collaborate with other organizations and community themselves to bring up a commendable action for the ocean, because this action affect all of us. They don't affect AFO as AFO, or the communities that only work with AFO. So for conservation organization to start working together in areas where they can, to kind of fit in places where one is lacking, the other one can try to assist in those areas, so that we can bring one commendable action for the community to really strive, and not to own communities. We have seen certain organizations, will not name names, where if you try to collaborate in their areas, they'll be like, oh, this is our area. Why is that, where we are trying to fight a common enemy? And it is for the prosperity of our own communities. So yeah, that is one thing I would like to bring to the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kai. Justina?
Yeah, thank you so much. That comment made by Kaijage made me laugh. Yes, that is tendency in Tanzania for conservation organization to divide the landscapes. But I would understand why it comes. I mentioned conservation takes time, so they need to stay in one area for longer time, so that they can claim the impact. If they stay there, then somebody comes, then it's not easy to. How much have you contributed and how much have you attributed? So that could be my perspective why they don't want that people to go there. But could be other reasons. So to answer your question, why there should be a shift from tokenism to transformation, Esther have mentioned in one of his examples that we already shifting. There is co-management in some areas. She gave example in Tanga. There are some projects that are co-managed or co-designed and co-planned by communities. But that is not enough. Um, a true shared power must be legally regulated, that they should be bounded by legal, so that next time if somebody doesn't do that, then they have to be answerable and accountable. But also, there should be participatory budgeting. Even the communities should be participating, should say how much they want to go into conservation, rather than people, um, planning for money themselves, but you plan activities with communities. And also, there should be formal seats for community members in the policy dialogues, but also decision-making tables. They should be to make those priorities. And the other thing, inclusion, like women, youth, and other minorities must be included in conservation. Just, you know, um, being participant, but also included in leadership roles and capacitated to do their work. And I think the last, I would say, their local leaders must, who are shaping policies, must be not just giving feedback. They should also see what is happening and be willing to take feedback so that they can shape these policies. And all of these requires also humility from people who their power is taken, because it should be a win-win situation, because there is also a tendency of not including people in everything because of power distribution. A lot of people are scared or afraid of losing power, so they have to be humble themselves and be you know embrace humility and share the credits and losses together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have one question here that it's not a must you answer, but anyone can answer, and also all of you can answer, but it's an optional question. So, what's one big misconception funders or policymakers have about local leadership? Anyone? Kai? Anyone?
Yeah,
If
I can go for that.
yeah,
I can go for that. And that's the reason why I left USA to join Maliasili, because Maliasili, we are working to capacitate our local leaders. So that is an overlook on the abilities of local leaders. And sometimes it's maybe we have shown them that as local leaders we can deliver because of lack of self-awareness.
Mhm.
But this comes at a cost of not being exposed, at a cost of not, going to bed schools maybe, and at a cost of you find a lot of organization, marine conservation or terrestrial conservation, are founded by young individuals who are very ambitious, coming from colleges or elsewhere, and they lack experience to do things. So sometimes maybe they forget, they compare apples and oranges, because you need to get experience to be a good leader. Yes, there are leaders who are born, but a lot of them are nurtured. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justina. Kai, anything?
Well, it's just to echo what Justina has already talked about. And as I said before, I've never worked for an international organization, but I've worked with an international organization. And it's just the mistrust they put in local leaders are not trying to understand their capacity and build on it, but just to assume that everyone is incapacitated and they can't deliver what they want. So is to build the capacity from where they are, because these people have a lot of local knowledge that they've been building over the years. They understand local threats better than the donor. They understand the areas better than the donor, and they have the greatest power into making that change in comparison to who's someone sitting at the office in US trying to sign a document to to allow the money to go to a certain donor or certain community which they think that is not well capacitated to deliver. Whereas it's my belief that the community are the backbone of conservation. So, I mean, without them, I don't think there'll be anything we can actually do of potential impact if there's no local community participation. Thank you.
Yes, Justina.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more point because somebody may corner said not all conservation leader in Tanzania are fresh from college. Yes, we have experienced leaders who have worked in number of organizations but still lead local organization. But there is an issue of them hiring experienced staff because of resources. That's why you see they can't deliver as expected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justina. Esther, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just shortly, I think,
Hello?
again, Germany
Hello?
Phyllis.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, I think local, to some people, local means limited and not well kept, well experienced. So I think that can be also the reason. Just like others have said, I second whatever Justina and Kai said. But as Kai said, local really means someone who really understands what's happening in the ground, because it's like a vicious cycle. We see how we lack resources. We see how we need what we say we need. So I think local isn't just limited. It means very yeah, we understand, and we are, I can say, system thinkers. We understand what is really happening in the ground and in the grassroots. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Esther. For all of you who want to speak or you want to add something, you can just write to us, and then at the end we can have that Q&A session. So thank you very much. I really want to spotlight one person. I want to spotlight Kaijage. I want to bring in Kaijage, who not only brings a strong technical and conservation lens through his work at Mwambao, but is also a dive lab alumnus. He earned his open water certification through AFO and has experienced firsthand what it means to engage with the ocean, not just from the shore, but beneath the surface too. So Kaijage, as someone who's both a data practitioner and a diver, how has that underwater experience shaped how you think about conservation funding and priorities? You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I would like to extend my heartwarming thanks to Aqua-Farm for believing in me and giving me that opportunity and supporting me all the way. And also, Mwambao also supported me in my advanced open water diver. And initially I was only getting this information in terms of data sets, and analyzing them. Okay, from my marine perspective, I understood what they meant somehow, but I've never experienced firsthand how they look like and how can they shape our perspective of the community. And I think that firsthand look of how things are, the trend of things inside the water or below water, really shaped on how my understanding of the whole ecosystem works, and also how I can align my message to the communities properly so that they can understand better. So as Justina once highlighted, like the inclusion of women, a lot of women don't know how to swim. They have never been in such environments, and a lot of this is, I would say, like stories to them. So having participated to bring out the footages to the community, but also to the donors, to help them see what really is happening and how much impact it is, taking in the ocean firsthand and not just through graphs and numbers. It's a really powerful tool for both the community to take action, but also for the donors to build trust to continue funding. As you said, one of the biggest problem is funding. So it kind of creates trust that the people are really working towards, betterment of their ocean, and trying to collect both the data and relate it to the actual visualization of it. And I think it is among the most powerful tools we can use in storytelling and in building trust between these two major stakeholders for ocean development.
I agree. Thank you very much. The last question for you. So from a local data perspective, how do we ensure that funding supports what really matters on the ground, not just what looks good in reports?
Well, that's a bit complex question, but I'll try to tackle it in the best of my ability. Well, most of the time, the projects or the proposal are written by people who don't understand the local perspective or whatever is going on locally. So this is try to in having a more flexible, I can say, reporting framework, or generally the framework of the project to adopt to what is really going on in the ocean, and not to be rigid just because we put a certain indicators that we want 600 to 800 acres of coral reef planted, etc., etc. But this data collection ensures that we have an adaptive management system or an adaptive project that adapts to how the local trends are going, so that we can really have an impact and not stay rigid to a certain line that was written by a person in an office, but also to adjust to reflect what is really going on in the grassroots. So the data will help shape and inform. If we made a mistake writing the proposal in some aspect, we can reform them and try to make them align as much as possible as what the local needs require, and not use only like international standards for stuff, whereas local threats might differ from one location to another.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kai. I think I want us, Justina, back to you. I want you to wrap this up for us. So Maliasili has worked to strengthen local conservation organizations. So tell us, in your view, what does an equitable ocean funding model look like in practice?
Equitable or fair model look like? I think one point Kaijaga has mentioned, the good funding model should listen first and then fund. So that's why there should be importance of data, fact-based problems and fact-based solutions. So that would be number one. But also a good or equitable funding should be providing funding direct to grassroots organization. I mentioned earlier that I would be very happy, Heshim Bahari, if it went to AFO directly rather than going through Chemonics International. So that also is another. And I think also equitable is not just about inclusion, but also the agents. What is the agent? What is the problem? We need to act now. It's not about having people, but it's the importance of the cause of that funding. And the funding that respect locals or traditional and indigenous knowledge. Because, yeah, sometimes I feel embarrassed because I worked for this big donor that they come with instructions. You need to do ABC rather than listening to what is there on the ground. So funding should respect the local knowledge and that. But also, one good thing, multi-year commitment. I mentioned earlier, one of the challenges is 1 to 3 years grants that we get in the Global South. So having multi-year funding to align with the conservation duration to see the impact, I think that's it's good. But also invest in conservation, because one speaker said we shouldn't be relying on funding always. So we should invest in conservation, coming with innovations of like what I see something called seaweed cave or something like that. So you see there is money coming out of the ocean. How do you invest back? Money that's coming from the ocean in the local areas. How do you invest back to do the cause that we want to do? Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your insights. And again, anyone who has a question, you can just shoot it on the comment section, and then the questions will be answered. Thank you very much. So we are heading on to our last segment, and here because we've talked about the challenges and also some of the solutions, so I want us to end with what keeps us going, like what gives us hope. Yeah, so I'll begin with you, Esther, and then to all of you. What keeps your hope alive even when all the mounting with all the mounting ocean threats? Esther.
Yeah, thank you. For me, it's the action at the grassroots, the the community response at the grassroots is what really gives me hope, because seeing a woman conquering their fear and go deep diving is something that you would never have witnessed 20 years, 30 years back. So I think there is the hope, but also the few funding, the small funding that we have been talking about is also hope, because we see that our sector is being seen somehow. So yeah, that.
Thank you very much, Esther. Kai.
For me, it's also trying to echo what Esther has already highlighted, but also to see that the community is being given a space in the table. So, as you said now, even though we're not there yet, but the communities are being incorporated in big conferences in terms of, you remember a decade ago, only scientists were collecting data. Now there's even citizen science. There's incorporation of traditional ecological knowledge. There's trying to see community champions really leading their communities into change in terms of conservation. As communities where you can see people giving initiatives even further than the project. Like the project brings in understanding, maybe Afro Mwambao goes into a certain village, creates an understanding, but there are people who move forward from where Af was left, from where Mwambao was left, putting more effort towards, conserving. And for me, it's also the understanding of the communities to what is really going on. So the understanding was poor, but now the understanding is growing. And shifting the narrative now, and they are coming more collaborative in terms of combating whatever is affecting them going forward. And to see also women being almost at the forefront. We cannot say they're at the forefront in terms of coastal communities in Tanzania currently, but we are seeing the moves they're making towards going there. And they are making impact, as Esther said, having to see women diving, which we could not see even, it's not even 20 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Local community diving was a myth, or a drug or something like that. But things are happening right now, and it's a good step forward, and the narrative is actually changing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Justina.
Yeah, a lot of things spoken, but I think what keeps me hopefully, it's the resilience of local communities, Tanzanian coastal communities, despite facing the rising tides, overfishing, and all of that issues are going on now with our ocean. But they still organize, as mentioned, they innovate, and but also they try to tell the younger one to respect the ocean. But I think my other hope rests in every mangrove that is being restored. There's a lot of work being done now in Tanzania to restore mangrove, but also seeing our young people or community members joining a beach management units, not to get paid, but they want to do so. Because even if they are reimbursed money, it's minimal. it's not, it can't amount to the effort that they're putting to that. I think the other thing is to see, particularly in Tanzania, it's seeing youth organization like yourself, coming up and innovate, create, and yeah, I can say that because
Yeah.
I've seen your program and your plans, how you think, in a bigger picture to make sure that marine conservation in Tanzania is thriving. And the last, I would say, it's now marine becoming a national priority. You hear of uchumi wa blue, of a blue economy. And I was surprised. I was, perusing in social media, and I saw there's one political party that have issued their manifesto, and you see there's blue economy as a priority. So you see, even the political people whom we thought maybe they couldn't think of that, but they also put that. And those are the things that are giving me hope.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone who's still here. Um, Time is not on our side, but I think I'll take maybe one person or two with very quick questions. So if there's anyone who has a very quick question, can you please, you can just raise your hand and I'll take your question, and then you'll tell me like who you want to answer your question. So anyone before us closing. Yes, welcome Danford.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible. So my question
Yeah.
goes to any one of you who can answer this. So many people on the shores of Africa, on the coasts of East and West Africa, are just doing economic activities to get going day by day. They just want to make a living out of it. And as you know, you mentioned the extractivism and the consumerism that is driving the damage that is happening to our oceans. So these communities are doing exactly the opposite. And we can speak of indigenous communities, how they have managed to conserve these spaces for thousands of years just by consuming what's necessary, only what's needed at the moment. And this is how things have been going. So the problems we're having now, these people are not responsible for these problems. The fish are diving to much lower levels of the ocean to escape the heat, but also for different purposes like ammonia coming from farms due to runoff and things like that. Now, considering the economic position, we are talking about local leadership. Considering their position, they do not have the luxury of participating in non-economic activities because they spend the whole day trying to make money to live for the next day. So they do not have the luxury of participating in non-economic activities like conservation. I think this is a critical problem in mobilizing people to participate. Now, back to the topic of local leadership. How do we get involved? First, people who are not responsible for the problems that are happening, a majority of the problems, they don't do bottom trolling. They don't destroy the structures of the seafloor or do overfishing. They're not responsible for any of this. And how do
Danford,
you
quickly, please.
convince? Yeah, just that's it. How do you convince people who are, it's not their fault, but also they don't have the luxury?
Thank you very much. Anyone?
I'll take some part of it. Well, I think one of the changing in narratives is how conservation is being carried out right now. Is in terms of blue financing, but also trying to have different financing schemes. I think for some of you might be aware of schemes like Mkuba, mfuko wa kutunza bahari. It means you're conserving the ocean, whereas you're getting a certain type of loan from it. So the loan one of the requirement for you getting the loan is to participate in a certain conservation action. So this, in one way or another, we understand that the access to finance is a problem which leads to local communities being over-dependent on the ocean resources. So it's to have schemes that reduce this over-dependence and trying to create different schemes like the Mkuba and the trust funds that will enable communities have alternative source of livelihood rather than only over depending on the ocean. So stuff like community conservation enterprises that are long lasting, that can be cultured by organizations such as Momba or AFO to try to build capacity for people to create enterprises that give them alternative livelihood and not just depend on the marine resource. If I've tackled your questions correctly. Thank you.
Um, thank you very much, Kai. The speakers, you can also answer the questions that have also been highlighted in the comment sections because of time constraint. I believe that if anyone has any more question, you can just shoot it on the, yes, Justina.
Um, I, I was reading the question from James Sikinasa. What are the most pressing legal and financial obstacles preventing inclusive community participation, and how can policies be adapted to remove this? I'm not so sure if there are any legal that any laws or policies that mandate people to not to include local voices, but it's just a myth and tendency, depending on or due to a lot of things that we have discussed. Like local leaders maybe don't have experience, or maybe the fear of losing power. If we share power, then I can control you less. So I think those are the issues that pressing to not to have inclusive conservation.
Thank you very much, Justina. Thank you very much. Is there any other person who has a burning question, a very quick question?
There was another question from Saidi.
There's a couple of questions in the messages.
Yeah, you can just pick one and then we'll answer that. Then we
Go
can.
ahead, Justina.
Okay, there is that addressed to me. Then you can come along, Kajag and Esther. That Justina, in your view, what can donors do to avoid token participation and ensure more meaningful engagement of stakeholders, especially communities? Yeah, it's a tough question because yeah, remembering the title of my master's, first master's, it says how the donors are controlling a lot of decision in conservation. So it's more of donors' interest vis-a-vis host government priorities and community needs. So, as I said, donors don't give money to communities or countries because they are poor. You know, some they are meeting the order, they oversee development assistance, so they want things to be done in their way because they have to be accountable somewhere. But also they have other interests, as I said, to get the numbers and to push for some agendas. So that also may hinder them to have, to include local in not to dictate. I'm trying not to say too bad about my past employers. I may go back. So yeah, I think those are the things that could hinder or make them. So I think something that needs them to think that yes, we have issues, but they need us more than we need them. Taking example of terrestrial, I would say, yeah, we are not causes of climate change, but conservation help a lot in counterfeiting climate change. And where does it come? The carbon sink are most in in global south. But also there is, ocean credit in terms of climate. Global
Yeah.
South shares the big piece of of, um, of the ocean. So it's not only us benefiting, but if they do a lot to Global South, it means they also benefit from not thinking about the other priorities that they have or to meet other priorities.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you very much to everyone who's asking questions. I'd like to close this. So everyone who has shoot their questions will be answered on our Instagram page's story. So yeah, keep moving. So finally, in one word from our speakers, can you, like, I want you to finish this thought for me in just one sentence or one word. The ocean is. And also for everyone who's viewing, you can just write it on the comment section. You can tell me the ocean is. So if I start with myself, when you ask me the ocean is, I'll tell you the ocean is my home. So yeah, so Kaijage, the ocean is.
Why do you always have to start with me? But thank you. I don't have time. So I would okay. I would say for me the ocean is the gatekeepers of change in the earth. So it's
Thank
not
you.
one word, but yeah.
It's a sentence. Thank you. Justina, the
I
ocean
already
is.
said it in answering one of the questions that us, the question is not a resource or commodity. It is part and parcel of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Esther, the ocean is.
I can say the ocean is explorable, and I'm also laughing at some of the answers in the chat box. They are really nice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. I'd like to urge each and every one of you to follow up on the conversations that are ongoing on the UNOC3. So to everyone who has joined us today, thank you very much to our speakers. Thank you very much. Your courage, clarity, and commitment are exactly what this moment needs. So as we head towards UNOC3, remember this: resilience doesn't come from the top. It rises from the coastline. And also, do not forget to visit our website, visiting our socials, and also learn how you can get involved, support community-led action, and follow our journey on Unit 3. So this webinar may be ending right now, but all I can say is the tide of change is just beginning. So thank you very much and stay close to the coast. And also for everyone who has not taken part in the One Action Challenge, please guys, take part in the One Action Challenge. You'll, by the way, you will miss a lot. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I
Asanteni.